I had to make this video on the fly because in the last 3 weeks of consultations, I've been seeing the same problem pop up in every single consultation call that I do with other OnlyFans agencies. And they're making such a big mistake that I just had to record this video to casually just explain how easy it is to actually fix it. And that mistake being using a universal chatting style with every model that you, the OnlyFans agency, have. This cannot work. Most of the chatting that I've worked with and worked to make better have the same issues popping up. So that's sending PPVs before the fan is actually in the mood, ignoring the subscriber's health bar, I'll explain that later, dropping the price too quickly or dropping the price immediately, letting the chatter's personality override the model's personality that's being shown on social media or any traffic source that you choose to use, and turning chats into transactions as soon as the fan subs instead of actually having a conversation. And I'll go problem by problem to explain how to avoid these mistakes effectively. So the first mistake that I see is just selling content instead of like selling a persona, right? Like this is what I was talking about. You can't be too money hungry when you're talking with these guys because, you know, they know that they're here to spend money to see you naked. Now that doesn't mean that we actually can just use them for that fact. We need to give them something of value to make them stay, to make them spend money on us instead of a different girl on OnlyFans. How do we do that? Well, we chat to them actually. Like we treat them as a human being. We talk to them about their day. We try to ask them personal questions. We try to figure out where they're from, what their name is, how old they are, do they have family, do they have a job, do they own a company? All of these things can really help to elevate the mood of the conversation because the energy between the fan and the model is the most important thing when you're trying to sell something or monetize something. Like if you can't picture it in an OnlyFans chat, picture it on a car park. Let's say I'm a car salesman and you're the buyer. If I'm dull, if I say, hi there, you're looking to buy a vehicle, like you're only gonna buy a car if you came to buy a car that you already wanted to buy and you kind of have a set budget for it, and you know the seller isn't really gonna sell you on anything else except the car. He's just there as a vehicle to basically get you the keys and, you know, walk you home. But if you go to a car park where the car salesman is enthusiastic, is very interesting, bubbly, energetic, now he opens a new window of opportunity to be able to sell to you something even more special because his personality allowed it. Now, I'll give you an example. Let's say I walk into a car park and the car salesman, you know, treats me with respect and, by the way, asks me for my name and what I'm looking for. Now we're already, you know, engaged in a conversation and I start to like him more as a person. As we continue talking about the car, he's gonna start listing things that maybe some cars are good for. Example, this car is super good at, you know, going fast in a straight line, but you can also like drift it because it's rear-wheel drive, and you look like a guy that you know want to impress a few ladies when they drift. You know, that kind of energy is something that we really have to bring into every OnlyFans conversation. You can't forget about that part because even when you talk with your friends, you're not only talking to them like, hey, what you doing? Oh, want to hang out? Okay. No, you're like asking them about their day, like how they're doing, blah, blah, blah. Basically, you should treat your OnlyFans fans as they're your friends so you can then get their trust. If you get their trust, you can monetize your content and you can actually price it even higher if you know what you're doing. I explained more about this in my other videos, so I'm just gonna go forward with all of the other problems. And the second problem is actually sending these PPVs before any emotional tension is being built. Now, I just explained how to build this emotional tension, but how you can further emphasize it is by asking the fan personalized questions about why they're here, why they like the model specifically, and what would they do if the model was right there with them. These are the 3 strongest questions you can ask a fan to get them in a mood for buying, because it's gonna basically plant a seed in their head that's gonna start telling them, yeah, this girl wants you to be next to her, you know? Like, this girl wants you to get naughty. And then eventually he's gonna show that side of him and he's gonna be like, yeah, like, I would like to cuddle you. Then after cuddles, they'll start kissing, blah, blah, blah. When he's typing that, he's visualizing it. When he's visualizing it, he's feeling it. And when he's feeling it, that means he's ready to purchase because he's in an excited mood. And he's gonna be less resilient to prices because of the euphoria that he's feeling, not only for the model, but for the conversation in its entirety. This is the basis of sexting, and this is the basis of selling. I do explain more of this in my first video that I'll have linked down below, and you guys can learn a lot more about this, but for now, I'll just leave you with that piece of information. The next problem that I see that happens way too often, for my liking, is dropping the price too quickly or immediately. Chatters usually work on a commission basis, and what they'll do is they're gonna find a way to get any sale, no matter what, because their paycheck depends on it. And they don't understand any of the key points that I mentioned earlier, that when you actually talk to the fan, you can actually sell for a higher price. So what they do instead is they send, let's say, I don't know, a fan comes in, they're like, okay, can you send me like a pussy video? And they're like, sure, that'll be $100. And they're like, okay, I don't have 100 right now, can you send it for 50? And then they send it for 50 because it goes towards their commission, they get a higher paycheck, and the fan is happy. Like, we need to avert these situations, and we need to stop underpricing our models, because we're never gonna get all of the money from the fans that are coming into our site, because every single fan on OnlyFans in their head has a set budget that they set for themselves when they join a girl's page. Like, some might have more, some might have less, but everyone usually has a set amount of money that they want to spend. Our job as salesmen is to increase that budget by offering them value of communication, of getting rid of their loneliness, of being the light at the end of the tunnel, and by being the bubbly, feminine, energetic girl that they never had in their life, or they once have had but have lost her due to time, or maybe marriage problems, or anything that can pop up in today's America. It's a very big problem, I know, but that's why we're fixing it with OnlyFans chatting. So instead of offering them content, we will offer them feminine healing and a feminine touch to satisfy their need for it, because every man has a need for femininity, and we can monetize that. It's fairly easy to teach this to your chatters if you're a chatting agency by using either my videos that I've already made on this topic, or reaching out to me directly for consultations. But if you're a model handling your own account, then you should just chat to your fans like they're your friends, you know, real life friends. It's not much different than IGDMs, except the selling part, that's a little bit tricky. But what we do in our agency is we try to emulate your personality as the model, and make a perfect harmony between your personality as the model and your personality as a salesman, to essentially get the most value out of a fan, or the most money out of a fan that's possible, using your personality. This next problem is targeted specifically for agencies, and that's letting your chatter's chatting personality override the model's brand. So let's say that you're trying to market this model as a dummy mommy on Instagram that likes submissive men. And then that guy sees the link in the bio, he subs to the girl's OnlyFans, goes to her OnlyFans, and is welcomed by a very bland, vanilla message. And the whole conversation just feels a little too vanilla for what the fan actually signed up for. This is why every single model that has a personality needs to have chatters who understand her personality and are being taught how to show her personality in the chats themselves. So, you know, Dummy Mommy would, instead of being like, oh, hey, honey, thank you so much for subscribing to my page, I'm so happy that you're here, she'll be like, you better be subscribing to my page, because if I catch you subbing to any other women, I'm gonna personally, I don't know, sit on your face. And then the fan can be like, oh, don't threaten me with a good time. Blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that. You know, like, the fan can get engaged and actually get the personality that he signed up for, especially if it's a paid subscription. And the last problem that I'll talk about, I've started to see this more frequently, is using text scripts to chat with each and every fan. Now, these text scripts, for those who don't know, are basically just sequences of messages that are pre-made and pre-written for the chatter to use so he can clear his traffic faster. You know, they're like open-ended, a yes or no question into escalation into PPV. This is just very bad because every fan deserves to have a conversation first before the PPV. And it's especially good if the conversation with the fan is tailored towards him. Like, you can't have the same conversation with a 21-year-old and a 65-year-old. With the 21-year-old, you have to be like, yo, what's up? How you doing? You know, stuff like that. You know, I'm obviously over exaggerating it, but you get it. You have to use lingo. But with the 65-year-old, it'd be nice to be, you know, old school, feminine, all the traits that you would imagine that the 65-year-old would like. And if you have any troubles with understanding what I just presented, you can reach out to me in any of the links down below. I'm addicted to my phone, so I'll most likely see the message as soon as you send it, and we can book a consultation call or maybe a personal call to ask me some questions that you had throughout this video, or maybe when you were watching any of my other videos. Thank you for watching.